Yeah, this is just a bad movie. And now, I don't like to use the word overrated since it's generally used in a negative sense, but it feels appropriate in this case because the amount of undeserved praise and acclaim that this movie has received is honestly a little gross. I mean, number 4 on Rotten Tomatoes' best superhero movies of all time. Really? This is just even more insulting when you realize this also has a higher score than these infinitely superior films. Now, I'm not saying Rotten Tomatoes is a reliable website. Clearly, they aren't because of this and among many other reasons. But what I'm saying is, this is just one of many sources that holds this movie in such a high regard. And for a while, I never really understood why. Because this movie, at its core, is just kind of bad. Wait, no. Not kind of bad. It just is bad. Looking back, however, I do have a few theories on why. For one, we currently live in an age where most superhero films have become culturally iconic and they dominate the box office. And it's important to keep in mind that this came out during that dark age of DCEU movies where they all sucked, so expectations were lowered. Also, at the time of release, this was the first big, popular female-led superhero film to also be directed by a woman as well, so because of all these labels, I think this may have led to some people overlooking a lot of the flaws in this. Before I go over said flaws, let me get some positives out of the way first, since this movie isn't completely devoid of praise. Production isn't too bad for the most part, especially in the set design. It did believably feel like we were in 1918. Gal Gadot does a decent job as Wonder Woman, and the best thing she brings to the role is her likability and charm. She and Chris Pine have a terrific chemistry, and the movie's at its best. Anytime that both of them were on screen together just talking, there were a lot of honest to God, heartfelt scenes between the two of them, and I did genuinely care about their characters and wanted to see them succeed. Aside from those two, though, the rest of the acting and characters in this are completely horrible. There's this kid that plays Wonder Woman as a child who is just abysmal. And don't you dare use the whole, it's just a kid excuse. There's no excuse for bad acting. Your job is to act, so act. Everyone else on the island just spouts boring, cliche dialogue and exposition. The villains in this are a complete joke. Dr. Poison is such a stupid name, and I find it so odd that they made General Ludendorff, who was an actual historical figure, one of the main villains. There's nothing like this in the comics, and it would be like if the main villain of Captain America, the first Avenger, was Joseph Goebbels. His freaking superpower cocaine is just ridiculous as well. Some of the other side characters are actually alright, but they're mostly just forgettable. I said Gal Gadot was decent in this, key word being decent, not good, because I just don't see her as Wonder Woman. It feels like I'm seeing someone play Wonder Woman, but I just don't see the character. When I watch The Dark Knight, I don't see Heath Ledger playing the Joker. I just see the Joker, if that makes sense. In this, I don't see Wonder Woman, I just see Gal Gadot playing her, is what I'm saying. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but she doesn't quite fit the physicality this character demands. Her frame is just a bit too small. Also, her line delivery is really bad at times. I wouldn't even say she's miscast, but she definitely needed more work. The action scenes involving her are really disappointing, mainly due to a lack of any real tension. First of all, we know Wonder Woman isn't going to die because this is a prequel. Second of all, the entire story is a flashback. But worst of all, though, she doesn't even get hurt or show any signs of physical damage or injury. In every fight, her hair and makeup is always perfect. She always looks like she's ready to be in a goddamn lingerie commercial. Other media has portrayed her taking damage while fighting. You know, it adds tension. Her powers in this are a complete mess. We assume bullets can hurt her since she's deflecting them with her metal bracelets. But then there's points in the movie where she's smashing through buildings and being slammed on the ground with tremendous force, all without a scratch. On a technical level itself, this film is just terrible. The action is edited sloppily and has these stupid slow-mo speed-ups like it's a Zack Snyder film. The CGI is unconvincing and the green screen is painfully obvious. Early on, there's a scene where Diana, as a kid, jumps off a ledge, and the green screen background is so unforgivably noticeable that there's no way someone said, "Yeah, that looks good. We can release this." The score is really cringy and doesn't fit at all. People say this movie is bright and colorful compared to previous DCEU films, which is true for the first 20 minutes. But when they leave the island, the film takes this dull, ugly, blue-gray color filter, which I guess they were trying to invoke the look and feel of what some other war films have, such as Saving Private Ryan and Fury, but it fails since it's so artificial and ends up coming off as unappealing and just ugly. It also looks out of place since you see this woman running around in red and shiny armor against this disgusting blue-gray color palette. Now, I do like the message the movie tries to go for, that being, you can't solve everything by killing just one person, but it immediately undoes all this by shoving in this obnoxious, just dumb fight with Ares at the end. It felt like it was just thrown in there for people who can't enjoy a movie without a big, dumb CGI battle at the end. And it suffers from everything every previous DCEU film climax suffers from. Just a bunch of CGI invincible people punching each other, and it means nothing because what you're watching is lacking any substance. On the subject of previous DCEU films, though, I actually find this film to be the weakest out of all of them. And by that, I don't mean it's objectively the worst, but for me, it is the least rewatchable. I really enjoyed Man of Steel, and I would actually say it's a superior film to this. And when it comes to Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, there at least was this awe factor to just how shitty they both were. Like, I can't believe this is happening on screen right now. But with Wonder Woman, you just get a dull, boring movie that doesn't do much of anything all that exceptionally well. Lastly, I don't want anyone to think I'm against Wonder Woman in general. I've always been a big fan of this character, and she's actually one of my favorite superheroes. I loved her in the Justice League animated series. The New 52 incarnation was really badass. I had this poster of her in my room for a while. There was this animated movie from 2009 that I absolutely love, and I would highly recommend it over this. I just want to let you all know, I love Wonder Woman. I just don't love this movie. I wouldn't even say it does a disservice to the character at all. I just think it's not that good in general. For me, it's just pretty bad, like I said. Not even entertainingly bad or shockingly bad. Just plain old bad. Nothing more.